Welcome to the Voice of Reason Sports Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the show, leave a comment, and click that like button. Let's go and do our recap. Okay, so I went 5-10 in these picks. Yeah, it was bad. And you went 9-6. There were a lot of upsets. I just picked the wrong ones. Yeah, man. I mean, like the Packers and Giants, the Dolphins and Titans. Wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting the upsets to be there.
Yeah, man. Those Monday nights. I mean, we kind of talked about the Giants and the Packers. So
We did.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't know if I want to trust Love, but I did again. And once again, he stuck it to me.
Yep. We talked about that. Well, let's start it off with the Thursday night game. We had the Steelers at home against the Patriots. You and I both went with the Steelers. Like, no way the Steelers lose to the Patriots at home. And they did. I mean, this is where we thought the Steelers would take control. And they're falling apart. It was the second straight loss at home.
Yes.
Because they lost to the Bengals. Well, it wasn't a home game.
Wait a minute. Was that home when they lost to the Bengals?
No, that was in Cincinnati.
That was in Cincinnati? Okay.
Yeah, that was in Cincinnati. But I don't think that was the last home game. No, the last home game was against the Cardinals. And you picked the Cardinals.
Yeah, right.
The Cardinals beat them.
Yep. That's right.
They lost 2 home games to 2 teams that had 2 wins on the season.
Yep.
The Cardinals and the Patriots. That is not a good sign.
That is not a good sign at all.
No.
What is Tomlin's record? Like no under 500 seasons?
Yeah.
He's in danger this year.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's got a pretty good cushion. He's 7-6. He just needs to win 2 more.
Yeah.
So I think he'll pull it off. He'll get there. He's never had a sub 500 season.
Yep. Never had a sub 500 season, even though it's been a while since he's had a contending team, like a real contending team.
Or a team where he had to actually build it himself, like with a quarterback, right? Had to start over with a new quarterback, and that's what he's doing now.
Yeah.
You know, he's had Big Ben the majority of his career.
Yep.
So now we're gonna find out what he's really made of. I mean, I give him credit because last year, they finished the season with a winning record. You know, he did it with pretty much one rookie quarterback and Mitch Trubisky starting the season off and still was able to get a winning record. So we'll see. All right, next. And I watched a little bit of this game. This was the Falcons and the Bucks. I went with the Falcons, you went with the Bucks, and the Bucks pulled this out at the end of the game with a touchdown to seal it. This game went back and forth in the fourth quarter. Bucks won it 29-25.
It actually ended up turning out being a pretty decent game, man. It was kind of boring at first. But second half.
Oh, yeah.
Started scoring.
Yeah, it went back and forth. And Drake London kind of showed out in this game. 10 receptions, 172 yards. So, yeah. But we'll see. It's going to be a dogfight in the NFC South. Regardless if you think the teams are bad, they're still competing. 3 teams are competing.
Yeah, at least it's a sweat.
Right. At least it's entertaining. You know what I mean? So, in the season, the Falcons, Saints, and Bucks all play each other. Well, the Falcons and Bucks are done, but the Saints play the Falcons and they play the Bucks to end the season. So the division will still be up in the air.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting end to that division.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited about it. All right, next we had the Bears at home against the Lions. Surprisingly, we both went with the Lions and the Bears. Like, I don't know which Bears team is going to show up. The Bears won this 28-13. They dominated this game.
Dominated that game, man.
Yeah.
Was not expecting it. I mean, I knew I did say a part of that game that, if Justin Fields can get some movement with his legs, they're tough to beat.
Right.
he didn't have like a ridiculous day, what like 90 yards, but he had 58 yards rushing on 12 carries.
That's pretty good.
You know, he was the leading rusher for the team. Mm-hmm. Leading rusher for the team. He ran for 58 yards, threw for 223. He was still very mobile and still keeping that defense at bay
Honest. Yeah.
because they had to always face him and look at him.
Yep.
You know, they couldn't always be like checking the receivers like they needed to be. They had to be watching for Justin Fields.
Right.
And that's what those running quarterbacks to do,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
And,
So
and, and I was always surprised. I mean, DJ Moore is a good receiver. And, it seems like he's starting to figure out how to get the ball to him. So this could be, kind of like Justin Fields showing the Bears organization that he's their guy. Because we all know going into next season, they're going to have the top pick because they have the Panthers pick.
oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're
They might
likely to have the number
top
one
5
overall
pick.
pick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
So they got a decision to make. Are we going to keep Justin Fields? Is Justin Fields our guy? Or should we take Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels or whoever the top quarterback is coming out next season?
I think you have to keep him. You have to keep him because you've already mortgaged your future on getting them the first time. You can't just throw that pick away and
Right.
start off because you also went and got DJ Moore.
Right. If I'm the Bears and I'm keeping Justin Fields, right, because I think he's good, I would trade that number one overall pick. I would trade it again like I did this year and stack up more picks and give Justin Fields another shot. And if it doesn't work out next year, well, I might have the number one overall pick for next year too.
That's going to be their best bet, to trade down, get them boatload picks that people will give up to get in that number one slot and build out your team.
Yep.
That is their best bet right there.
That's their best bet. Give Fields another year. Give him another year with DJ Moore. Maybe good things will happen because they're showing a lot of fight. I mean, they're 5-8 and they beat the Lions, so that's impressive. So, all
Absolutely.
right.
And to be honest with you, I don't really think that Caleb Williams is that much better than what Justin Fields is right now. I really don't. I mean, he to me, he's losing his stock as he goes on. As the season went on, to me, his stock went down. I was not impressed with Caleb Williams at the end of that season.
Right. But I mean, that's the whole thing about quarterbacks. Drafting a quarterback. You could be looking at the next Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? Or Peyton Manning, or you could be looking at the next, Ryan Leaf. So
right.
you got.
And did you hear that he's requesting to have a piece of the team?
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Caleb Williams. Yeah.
To whoever drafts him, he wants a piece of the team. Man, get out of here.
Yeah, well, that ain't happening now.
That ain't happening.
So, all right, next slide. Bengals at home against the Colts. I went with the Bengals on this. I felt good about the Bengals. You went with the Colts, and the Bengals won this 34-14. I told you before. I don't trust Minshew.
I don't know what to say. I didn't think Brownie will pull it off 2 times in a row, even though he didn't have an incredible game. I mean, had a big game. The running back Joe Mixon, he had a decent game.
Decent games. 79. Yeah.
So and he did it both ways, but Jake Browning, another solid game, man. 18-24, 275, 2 touchdowns and interception.
Yeah, dude.
Ask much more from your young quarterback.
Right. And dude could be setting himself up for a nice deal next year for some, with some other team that's a quarterback needy team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's doing real good in his interview.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is a coming out party for Jake Browning, and he could be setting himself up. Him and Tommy DeVito. If Tommy DeVito continues to play the way he is, he might get a nice deal somewhere else.
Absolutely.
All right. Next, we had the Browns at home against the Jaguars. You went with the Browns. I went with the Jags. I thought the Jags would win this with CJ Beathard at quarterback, and Joe Flacco is showing out as the Browns quarterback. Dude threw for 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. So he played so well. The Browns were like, you know what? This is our starting quarterback for the rest of the season. PJ Walker, see you later. They cut him. I mean, Flacco's been there, what, 2 weeks?
Yep. Yep. But I saw him last week against the Rams, and I was like, he does not look like he's not fresh. I mean, he does not look he's like he's been sitting on the couch for the last 10 weeks or 11 weeks or whatever. He looks like he's been in somebody's camp practicing.
Mm-hmm.
He came out. He did. And I'm not saying that he was, MVP level of throwing, but he surely did not look like he was this quarterback that was out of practice and played in a long time. He came there. He was completing some throws,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, well, he's at least better than Beathard from what I saw in that Rams game. But then the game started, and I said, what is Trevor Lawrence doing out there? Uh-oh, I think I might have made the wrong pick because I didn't know Trevor Lawrence was going to play.
Mm.
That's one of the big reasons why I picked Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
Uh,
I wasn't expecting him to play either.
yeah, as far as I know, I'm like high ankle sprain. He could barely walk. The
Right.
last game when he took him off the field, there's no way he's gonna come back to play.
Right.
But he was out there moving around. He wasn't as mobile, of course. He wasn't as mobile, but he still tried to run 3 times.
Right. Yeah, but the Browns picked him off 3 times. So,
Yeah,
they gave him fits. I mean, the Browns defense is tough. That's a tough defense. And, I don't know. I didn't think he was going to play at all. That's why I say CJ Beathard. I gave the Jags a better chance with Beathard out there than with Lawrence because of the way that injury happened. I didn't think Lawrence was going to play. And then the fact that he played, it was like, well, why is he out there? He's not going to be 100%. He's not going to play well. He's going to be overcompensating for that bad ankle. He's not going to run. He's going to throw some balls that he probably shouldn't have because he's concerned about that ankle. So yeah.
And I wish I could say that that's the reason why they lost like that or whatever. But to be honest, he's played like that before. He didn't have a terrible game besides having 3 interceptions. I mean,
That's pretty
he's had
terrible.
games like that before. That's pretty terrible. That's
It is
pretty.
pretty terrible.
I mean, he still threw for a good little amount of yards. Still had 257, 3 touchdowns as well.
Yeah.
But the thing is I've seen him have games like that before. This ain't the first time I've seen him had a game. So even before the ankle injury, Trevor Lawrence was kind of up and down this year.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next slide. Saints at home against the Panthers. Yeah, we both went with the Saints on this, and Saints won this game. I take the win. I'll take them however they come. I ain't gonna cry about that. I'm not gonna sit here and bash the team with all the issues that I saw. But when you got a bad team, they put them on your schedule. You beat them. That's all I wanted to see. You beat them. However dysfunctional my team is right now, you beat the bad teams, and they beat them. And I'll take the win, and hopefully things will get better.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's the NFL. All right. Next, we had the Jets at home against the Texans. Man, we both went with the Texans, and Zach Wilson showed out. I think all the threats that they've made to this guy has gotten him to focus. He played his best game in his career, 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He looked good. They beat the Texans 30-6. But also, let's keep in mind, C.J. Stroud left the game with a concussion, but he still wasn't playing well before he even left the game.
Nope, absolutely. The Jets had them clamped down. Now, this may be a little bit of an Achilles heel for them in the future. I mean, it was a very weather-filled game, so it was a lot of rain. And it's cold up there at this time of year in New York. So or Jersey, wherever they playing at. But it was cold and raining.
Right.
So it seemed like it was a very low scoring game at first, which it was.
Right.
Most of the points came in the second half. But that might be an Achilles heel for the Texans. We'll have to look and see. Because they're not playing that well before Stroud went up.
Right. Well, hopefully, with them going back home in the dome, playing in Houston, maybe that'll help them. But yeah, they got too many injuries that's coming up late in the season. They already lost one receiver. CJ Stroud's dealing with a concussion. You know how that stuff that can be tricky. You don't know if he's going to play next week, depending on how severe the concussion is. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully the kid gets better because I like seeing him play.
Absolutely.
Yep. Now here's a game that I saw, and this is the game I told you I was really interested in. The Ravens at home against the Rams.
Yep.
I went with the Rams, and I told you I said this is a bold pick. Everything screams that the Ravens are going to win this game, but I felt good about the Rams. So I went with the Rams. You went with the Ravens, and the Ravens won this game in overtime, 37-31 on a punt return, a walk-off punt return of
Walk off.
76 yards.
And it was a pretty amazing punt return. He broke like 3 or 4 tackles on that play to make that, and it was a great play.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of messed up my fantasy dream though, but that's okay. That's a whole nother story. This is the same thing I was talking about when I was talking about Ravens coming back from being off and coming back flat.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was saying I could see them losing the game. It could happen, but I just don't think it would. But yeah, they started off very flat. Um, Not saying, I mean, it's not like they were undefeated, and we've been seeing them play perfect all year. I mean, they do have some losses on their schedule, but it was they started off very very flat in the game, just kind of how I expected them to.
Yeah.
Tend to do that off of bias and off times when they've been sitting for a while since
Right.
Lamar. Anyway.
Right. And that's kind of what I was expecting. And I figured the Rams would come out firing, because they've been firing their last couple of games. So I figured they would come out firing, but I knew it was going to be tough, on I think this is the second road game in a row. You
Mhm.
know, they playing, on the East Coast, a West Coast team playing on the East Coast.
Yep.
Everything screams Ravens. Ravens coming off a bye at home. Yeah. I, Normally I go with the home team in this case, a good home team.
Yep.
And I just had a feeling about the Rams.
Yep. And I think I commented last week that 7.5 was too many points.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
And it
Well,
really was.
yeah, it was. It was. It was. So, all right.
Yep.
Next. I didn't watch this game, but I'm sure it was boring as hell to watch. The Raiders at home against the Vikings. I went with the Raiders. You went with the Vikings, and the Vikings won this game 3-0.
I
Wow.
thought it would squeak it out, but I didn't think it would be that kind of squeak out. Oh
I,
my God.
yeah, and Josh Dobbs was benched.
Bad. Yeah, you want to talk about a bad game. Oof.
Wow, that what a
Hard watching that
stinker.
game. I
Yeah,
saw TV. I just saw all the punts, all the miscues. It was just a bad game all around. You can't even blame it on bad weather.
right, right, because it's indoors.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's
It-
like it was unexplainable. It
yeah,
was
I mean, it was like a game from the 1950s or something like that. Wow.
for some reason the offensive lines could not block. It
Mm,
was just a weird game to see where there were just so many miscues. Uh, uh, the teams were just not on point at all. Josh Dobbs, he couldn't even get out and run. Like he couldn't, he go on occasionally get those like long runs,
hmm
but he ran 13. I mean, he ran 13 times for 34 yards. But it was like scrambling for my life type of
mm.
run.
Yeah,
You know?
he started to get worse as the season went on. Like he had a nice start with the Vikings, but things have really he just fallen off for him. I was
Yeah.
rooting for him.
Even before that with the Cardinals, he had some decent games.
Yeah, he did. He did.
I mean,
So,
enough that the Vikings wanted to trade for him so they could have a quarterback.
well, I guess once you get enough film on him, you figure out what he likes to do, what's his tendencies, and teams are shutting it down. And I think the same thing happened when he was with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I
well,
guess they can see what Nick Mullins could do because they've already declared that he's starting next
he
year.
is. Yep, yep. Well, I mean, Josh Dobbs can always go back and work for NASA, so not a big deal. All right, next we had the 49ers at home against the Seahawks. Yeah, we both went with the 49ers, and 49ers won this 28-16. McCaffrey has 16 carries, 145 yards. Purdy had 368 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. 49ers is just dominating this league.
Yeah. There's not much to say on that. I thought that they would win by more than that. But and they could have. They actually could have. They had some miscues.
They did.
They actually could have beat them by more than what they beat them by.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I mean, the Seahawks came out firing. They took a 10-7 lead
Yeah,
in the first
absolutely.
quarter. It's a division rival. I figured
I want
they
to
wouldn't
say
totally
that
blow them out like they blew out the Eagles, but
right, and I mean, it was a close game at the halftime. It was like 14-10
it was.
at halftime. It was way too close for comfort, and then of course, second half that San Francisco defense just shut them down.
Yep, they did. They did. So 49ers got the win. All right,
49.
next we had the Chiefs at home against the Bills. And the Bills, you picked the Bills. I went with the Chiefs, and the Bills won this 20-17. And everybody's talking about that play where what is it, Condorius Tony, the receiver, was offside, and it was
Yep.
on a spectacular play where Travis Kelce caught it and tossed it back to the other receiver, and the receiver ran in for a touchdown. Would have given the Chiefs the lead 24-20, but Tony was offside. And look, I hear what Patrick Mahomes is saying. It's something you don't normally call and blah blah blah. Look, Patrick, he was offside.
He
Period.
was way offside. I mean, clearly, it wasn't like a little bit or a quarter of
Right.
it. He had a whole foot over the line. A whole foot. He could clearly look down the line and tell that he's off. There's no way he didn't see that.
Right. It
And look, if
wasn't
he
like
didn't
his
see
big toe was
it,
offside. His whole
right.
damn foot.
And even if he didn't see it, one of his teammates could have saw it because I think he was the slot man on that play. And he was standing inside, so he was on the line. The outside guy was off the line. Somebody, I guess the outside guy could have said, "Hey, Tony, back up a little bit, man. Something."
But
You
but
know?
but typically, and I don't know if they're doing it anymore in the league, but I remember, early 2000s, the receivers used to look to the referees,
And they
point
were
to the
asking
referee,
if they would catch.
yeah, to make sure they were onside, check with them. Then I don't see receivers doing that anymore. Maybe because they're moving so fast now. Maybe because of the tempo of the game now, where they're getting to the line quicker and they're not checking with the officials anymore. I don't know what's going on.
Well, they still do it, but it's just the outside receiver. So if you're the slot guy, you're not
Ah,
next to that slot. You're not right next to that receiver. I mean to that ref,
right,
right? And now it's just a hand. You know what I'm saying? So when you're out there, you put your hand up to the ref, like just you throw a thumb up or whatever, and
right,
he'll put his thumb up, or he'll push you. He'll point back to the back if you too far up. He'll tell you to back. He's basically pointing to you to back up. Stuff like that. But he won't tell you if you're too far back. No, you need to be on the line of scrimmage because it'll be a illegal formation.
right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? So they still do it, but when you're that slot guy, you're not standing right next to the ref. You're not going to do it. But I think this is going to show you some of the reasons why the Giants let him go. You
Mm,
know, the mental part of the game is just not there. You cannot make that mistake in that
right,
situation. You just cannot. It's
right,
the easiest, most fundamental thing that you could do on the football field. Line up
right.
and line up on side.
And you know what? You can just look down the line and see what a damn football is
You
on
can
the
see
ground.
it.
And
He's clearly offside.
right,
It's not even close. He's clearly
I
offside.
I
And I
can't.
thought that Mahomes acted like a spoiled brat
Me too.
going at the referee, talking about you can't make that call. Well, first of all, he didn't know you was about to score a touchdown on that. He threw the flag immediately. As soon as the ball was snapped, he threw the flag off the break. So it was already a bad play to begin with. Because
Right,
he soon as the ball snapped, they showed the flag go up in the air.
right.
Yeah,
I had no problem with what the official did.
no
Um,
problem.
no problem with it. I mean, yeah, sometimes it can be questionable, but when it's blatant like that, I want the official to throw the flag.
Have to.
Yeah,
You absolutely have to. I mean, they let you get away with that one I still don't like. They let you get away with the Hail Mary
Oh, I don't
But
like that either. The pass
okay,
interference on that.
yeah, because they let you do anything. I mean,
Right.
certain things I get it. You know, if the people just jumping for the ball, okay, they're gonna bump into each other. But blatantly just pushing people down,
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
gives the other team an advantage. And lining up offside, nobody, I get it. A lot of people don't think it's a big deal, but essentially it is an advantage. You're offside.
you're off
you
sides.
you got to step ahead. So, you know, yes, call it. Great call, official. Patrick, get over it, man. Your dude was offside. Yell at him.
Exactly. How about yeah, exactly. When I saw him acting up, because I saw this live, right? I was like, oh yeah, look at he's tearing Kadarius Toney a new one.
That's what I thought too.
Like he's going at Kadarius Toney, like, what the you doing? You know, I thought he was going at Kadarius
Me
Toney,
too. And I was
not the
like,
referee.
get him. Yeah, get him. And you shouldn't have been
Exactly.
running up offside. And I find out that he's yelling at the official. And I'm like, the hell are you yelling at him for? He made the right call.
Yeah. And then when you go look at the replay, like I said, clearly
Yeah.
offside.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dog. You can't tell him to ignore what he sees.
Right. Right.
Crazy.
And then it was
It was.
blatant.
It
It
wasn't.
was
It was
blatant.
right. It wasn't one of those could be halfway
Right.
not calls. They're going all the time. You know, it wasn't one of those. It was a clear offsides.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Right, and the refs have been told by the league to call that more.
Right.
They've been telling them, "Hey, look, when you see these people off, you have to call it, check to see if they're offside, and call it."
Yeah. I,
And he did his job.
I agree. You and I are on the same page. The hell with Patrick Mahomes. They made the right call.
Yeah, he
All
looked like
right.
a big.
Next slide. Chargers at home against the Broncos. Told you
Yeah,
before, I don't trust the Chargers coaching staff. Now they've lost Justin Herbert for the season. He's having surgery on his thumb. And the Broncos won this game 24-7. We both went with the Broncos. I think the Chargers is actually favored to win this game by 3. And we both made a bold pick and said, nah, Broncos are hot right now. Russ is cooking. Let's go with the Broncos. And Broncos won it pretty easily.
you can't trust that coaching staff at the Chargers. You just cannot trust their coaching staff at all.
But I got to ask you. I mean, because your offense looks totally different with Mike McCarthy calling the plays. It looked way more efficient. No more stupid plays at the end of the game. Was Kellen Moore the problem? Like, I think we've seen enough with the Chargers to say maybe this guy was the problem with the Cowboys.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I thought that Mike McCarthy was going to be an issue when they said that he was going to take over the play calling this year, just for the simple fact that I saw how it ended with the Packers. Okay. When
Yep.
you got a Hall of Fame quarterback and people around that Hall of Fame quarterback telling you that McCarthy used to call plays and Aaron Rodgers used to say, "We not running that. No, we definitely not running that."
Right.
And he used to complain about how plain and ordinary the offense was. um, I was worried. I really was worried, and especially after he left Green Bay, they immediately won 13 games 3 years in a row. As soon as he left,
Yep. Yep.
so it was a subtraction in Green Bay, and here we go, add him to our team. Like that's trash. We don't want to
But
add him to our team. He's trash.
but look like it
But
humbled him. It looked like it humbled him. You said it before.
I will.
He's got an analytic on the team. He's doing some of the right things that they're doing in the game now.
I will say this: that I see different. It's changed from how it was in the beginning of the year. He's now incorporating motion.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually running drag routes and crossing routes and pick routes. He's doing this stuff. It's like he's seeing what's working
Yep.
and he's starting to implement it, which he didn't do early in the season. I will give him that. He's making adjustments, and that's why this offense looks different and Dak looks different than before. And something that I saw that Dak wasn't doing early in the season that was pissing me off. Okay. He was not stepping up in the pocket. Now, for the last 4 games in a row, I've seen it. when he's going back there, he's actually stepping up all the way through the pocket and either running with the ball or he's finding his receiver fast, you know.
Well,
And I don't know if somebody coached that with him or Dak Rick realized it or he listened to the voice of reason.
I
But
think he listened to the voice of reason.
it might be, man, because it happened right since I started saying
Since
it.
you started saying it, and while we're on the subject of the Cowboys, let's talk about it. Your Cowboys were at home against the Eagles. You thrashed them 33-13. We both went with the Cowboys. The Cowboys got the win. You know,
Yeah.
obviously Dak and Mike McCarthy is listening. They are listening to the show.
It sounds like it, man. They're
Yeah.
implementing the things, you know. And this game really did not shock me. It did not shock me that we were able to do what we did to them. Maybe to the degree of they didn't have an offensive touchdown, you know. I
Mm-hmm.
thought we would have a touchdown at least, you know what I'm saying? Maybe a couple. But I knew what I told you. I told you that we were gonna put Gilmore on AB.
Yep,
And
you're right.
AB had some yardage, right? He wasn't really effective in that game at all. You know, it was during garbage time when he started getting some underneath passes and getting some yardage that didn't really mean anything because we were basically running clock at that time. You
Yeah,
know,
but Gilmore was making some fantastic plays out there.
oh man, he had that fumble, he had a couple knockaways.
Yeah.
He showed like that 33 is not done in the NFL.
Right. No. He
Not
really,
done in the NFL for a cornerback at least.
yeah, he reminded us who he is, you know. So I gotta give
Yeah,
him credit. Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, I was not shocked that we beat that game. The Eagles are in trouble. The Eagles are really in trouble.
Well, why you talking about that? I mean, think about it. They were blown out, what, 42-19 by the 49ers last week, and just
Yeah.
lost this week 33-13.
Yes,
I mean, that's got to be a confidence shaker there.
it has to be. Your last two games is like 75-23 or something like that. That's not good, man.
No, that's not. That is not.
That is not good at all. I mean, especially when you had these high hopes of going back to the Super Bowl and being so close to winning one, and you know, you're the best team and your quarterback's the MVP, and you got all this stuff going on. For you to just take two big L's like that has got to be deflating.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
It has to be. But you know what? Uh, I've seen it the whole year. You can't keep continuing to squeak by games
Yeah.
against lower caliber teams, quote unquote. You know, their offense has been shaky all year.
Right.
It's been shaky. They had that one little 4-game package where AB was putting up stats, but they were squeaking by games. They had them 2 games with the Commanders. With the Commanders, the Bears killed that team.
Yeah.
Scored 4
Yeah. Yeah.
in that team. You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
Commanders, they were single-handedly the reason why Howell was leading the league in passing because he put up
Yeah.
350.
That's right. He was putting up big numbers against the Eagles. The Eagles defense, they look very, very shaky. And we were all expecting this Eagles defense to be tough, to be one of the best in the league. And they're not that.
Hold on. We can check the tape. I said they were overrated. I said they were overrated. I told you. I said that defense is not what it's cracked up to be. They could be had. They could definitely be had.
Well, they that is happening. They are being taken. So, all right. Well, let's talk about these Monday night games, man. These Monday night games were really good. And I remember you and I both was like, oh man, these games are gonna be sucky blowout games. And man, they were really good, man. I like the Dolphins Titans game. That game went down to the wire, and the whole dynamic of that game changed when Tyreek Hill got hurt.
Man, one of my things that I said in the beginning of the season was that I didn't think that Tua would even last the season.
I didn't think so either. Yeah.
That would be, but he's obviously doing that. You know, he hasn't even been in danger of missing a game yet. But it was dramatic, like you said, to your point. When Tariq went out that game, how that offense changed.
Change, right.
Oh my goodness. Now, Tennessee's supposed to have one of the worst passing defenses in the league. Okay, they're the bottom third of the league in passing defense. So you would think with the weapons that they have, you still got Waddle, you still got two very good running backs. You know,
Hmm.
Scythe, I'm not gonna count the tight end, but you got Cedric Wilson as third receiver. You got Barrios, who's been productive with the Jets and now can be productive with them if they actually give him the ball. But that offense changed so much when Tariq went out.
It did. And I
It,
don't know. I don't know if that's because they had the game plan. This game plan for this game was built around Tyreek, and they couldn't go in any other direction because it was built around Tyreek. I don't know because this team has too much talent to say if one dude goes down, they can't go anywhere else. It just seems kind
exactly.
of odd to me.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, so that means Waddle about to light him up.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking, and not so much.
No, not at all, man. It's like all of a sudden the receivers couldn't get open. They weren't getting no separation.
Right,
Mostard actually still had a good game. They were
mm,
still running the ball pretty effectively.
right.
But when it came to passing, they just did not have it, man.
But I gotta give Will Levis some credit. I mean, kid is showing out, and maybe the Titans should have started him at the beginning. And says, oh, maybe they did the right thing by having him work himself in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
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 and
I agree. He should have been worked in. He's a young quarterback, and that's the ideal for any quarterback to
right,
sit down for a little bit, learn what's going on, get the feel for the game, the speed,
right.
and then get placed in there. You
Because
know.
I think that's what the Panthers should have done. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful that the Panthers choose to play Bryce Young because they gave us 2 wins. So I'm grateful for them not playing Andy Dalton. But I think the Panthers are a much better team with Andy Dalton playing over Bryce Young. And Bryce Young could probably better off learning from it. But hey, I don't really care. Thanks, Panthers. Now the other Monday night game was the Giants versus the Packers. And the Giants won this game 24-22. The legend of Tommy DeVito goes on. Right? Was it this the third game in a row? He's led the Giants to a win.
Yeah, man. I don't know what's happening here. I don't really know this guy. I don't know who he is, where he came from, what he looked like in college. He does. He's not. It's not like he's tearing the game up,
No,
but he's managing the game well enough for them to move the ball when they need to and get the points that they need to get.
and
You
and
know.
and, and I mean they're relying heavily on the run.
Oh
Like
yeah.
like every play it seems to be a handoff or a short pass, and then it seems like when they have to open it up, they open it up and let Tommy do his thing because he also runs the ball. A lot of the plays are designed quarterback runs or not. No, I'm sorry, they're not designed quarterback runs. They're him dropping back and then scrambling out to get some yards on the play, and he's doing a good job at it. And that's my biggest concern when they play the Saints is this guy is basically a quarterback that will run. I wouldn't say a running quarterback, a quarterback that will run, and that gives my defense problems.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I don't know if this is a dawn of a new top receiver there, but that Wardell Robinson was actually looking pretty good.
he
I mean,
was.
he led the team in receptions and yards. He had 79 yards. The next receiver on that team had 22.
Wow.
So he by far led the receiving lead receivers in that game. And he was looking like a number one out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at one point, the Giants they had a big enough lead where they were controlling this game, and Saquon fumbled the ball. He had like a huge run,
Oh
and he
yeah.
fumbled the ball
Yep.
and,
Yep.
and, and gave Green Bay the ball back, and then Green Bay took the lead. And
Yep.
that's when Tommy got them in field goal range to Robinson. I mean, a great pass to him. I think it was a crossing route. He threw it. Defender was close by, still caught it. Was nicely done. Ran down the
Yep.
field, got him in field goal range. So the Giants look efficient. So we'll see how it all shapes out.
But you know what? I'm just kind of wondering: did the Giants play great, or did the Green Bay Packers play horrible?
No, I
How,
watched
how
that
did
game.
that long thing happen? How did that long play happen? You get a fumble that you weren't supposed to get, and then you lose that game.
Yeah. No, I thought the Giants defense played very well.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Love was, was decent. Um, but I thought the Giants defense made some good plays in this game. And it's the defense that's carrying the team, even though DeVito's getting all the credit. It's really the Giants defense that's carrying this team and holding it together. All DeVito's doing is just not turning it over. He's just not doing the Daniel Jones and turning it over or having a bunch of 3-and-outs.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yep,
playing smart football.
absolutely. But Jordan Love continues to be one of the lowest percentage throwing quarterbacks in the league. He showed it again last night. I just don't know what you're gonna get out of that guy.
Yeah.
I didn't like him, and then I start thinking, hey, maybe I was wrong over the last 3 weeks. But then he come and have a game like this, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Giants where people have torched that team. Yeah, I don't understand it.
Thanks for joining us again. We do this thing every week. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.